Yeah, it looks like so we'll probably go ahead. I'll just go ahead and get started. So I have known Theresa for a couple of years. Both of us were in JJ Virgin's mastermind called Mindshare. Mindshare Mastermind. And so she had her own online business. She had over 250,000 followers on Instagram and was just killing it. And while we were all working together through this mastermind, it seemed like Theresa just got a million questions on how to be successful because she had already done it on Instagram. And to everybody else there, like, this was just, she was like the pioneer, was uncharted territory. Everyone wanted to know how to do it. So a couple of years ago, she actually started her own agency. And her and I have been friends, of course. So we would sit down and she'd be like, okay, this is what you need to do, Nicole. And I would hear it and we would have these discussions and I would never execute it. So in February, and I had been using, previously I had two different people I used for social media. And the last one, she reached out to me. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't even stand it. They're spamming your page. Let me take it over. We'll figure something out. Give me 3 months. So as of February, she took over my page. So she's absolutely amazing. She's going to teach you guys all her little tips and tricks and what structure she uses to really make it successful.
Yep.
And I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Theresa.
Thank you. Yeah. So just a little bit more about me. Like Nicole was saying, previously I had a really big online fitness business. I ended up joining the mastermind to learn about online marketing. And so I have a big understanding of like the back end of online marketing as well. And through that time, people kept coming to me. And so my mentor came to me and she's like, you really should just like do this. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I ended up starting a business and I haven't looked back since. I ended up selling my fitness business and I do this full time and I absolutely love it. And who I really am catering to here today is really entrepreneurial experts. And so the reason I say that is because what I'm going to teach you, it's not just about vanity metrics. It's not about getting more followers, although we want that and we'll get that too. It's really about making content that's going to convert both engagement and also to help you monetize it, right? Because all of us are doing this for a reason. We don't want to spend all this time and energy and money to build our social media and then, like you said, have it flop and not get them on the email list, not get them to your boot camp or not get them in your office or whatever your goal is, on your programs online. So that's really what we're going to focus on today. I'm going to talk, number one, we'll start with like the importance of why you should be building your personal brand online. And I'm going to give you some tips and then we'll go into the tactical stuff. So let's get started. All right. Minimize myself. All right. So I didn't have this in PowerPoint mode, but we're just going to go through it today. So to be successful on Instagram, and just so you guys know, we called this Social Media 101 Masterclass, but I'm really going to focus today on Instagram specifically because, like I said, I do cater to entrepreneurial experts, and I really truly feel that Instagram has everything that we need to be successful in social media, and I'll explain to you why later on. So we're going to focus on Instagram today. So to be successful on Instagram, you need 2 things. Okay. Number 1 is we want to keep your page personal, right? And number 2 is you have to have a good strategy to get engagement. Okay. The first thing that you want to understand is you want to keep it personal. And the reason I say this is because most times when I start working with an entrepreneurial expert, they do one of 2 things. Okay. Number 1 is they hide behind their business brand, meaning they basically post no pics of themselves. They don't talk about themselves. They don't put content about themselves. They're not talking to their audience or relating to them or letting them know like, hey, I'm a person. They're basically just putting up business content 24/7. Or 2, they typically only post kind of like information or salesy, spammy kind of stuff on their wall. So for example, I see a lot of people that are just posting podcast graphics nonstop or like sales promotion graphics nonstop. And so that's not going to get you any traction. I'm sure if you've been doing it, you see that it really doesn't work. So we need to take a different approach. So we're going to talk about why that doesn't work. Okay. When people do this, what do they typically do? They sit and they wait for the likes to come and they don't. They sit and they wait for the engagement to come and it doesn't. And then they hope the followers grow, but they barely do. And there's a reason for this. Okay. People want to follow people, right? So I'm going to say it again. People want to follow people. They don't want to follow businesses. All right. The reason for this is because as humans, we are innately designed to connect with other humans, right? In fact, psychologists agree that when we connect and resonate with other like-minded individuals, we actually feel better about ourselves. So if you want to grow your tribe on Instagram, you have to get comfortable getting in front of other humans, okay? All right, so this is in essence what personal branding is about, or online branding. This is why I wanted to talk to you guys about this, okay? Because it's about branding you, and your business is one thing that you do. And I always like to give an example because I'm crazy and I stay up at night thinking about this kind of stuff. But I was thinking about this the other night is I really enjoy following Sarah Blakely. I don't know if you guys know who Sarah Blakely is. She's the founder of Spanx. And I was thinking about like, why do I actually enjoy following her? Well, because her page, even though she's this boss babe billionaire, you don't know what she's going to post. She posts stuff about her family. She posts stuff about her husband, about travel. And there's like a boss babe quote. And then there's another post where she's like writing her conference call on her leg and lipstick because she's in the car with 4 kids and she's on the conference call. And so by her doing that, I completely relate to her. And what's really funny about this is being a fitness expert, you guys can imagine I wasn't really a big fan of Spanx, to be honest with you. It just wasn't my favorite thing because I'm like, why would you wear Spanx if you can exercise? But because I followed her, I actually started having more of an affinity for Spanx. So she's completely changed my mind about her business. So this is really the power that personal branding can have on social media, right? You guys build brand equity for your business. All right, so building your personal brand on Instagram has a lot of other benefits as well, okay? So it gives people an opportunity to know, like, and trust you. It gives people an opportunity to know why you do what we do, right? And more importantly, it gives people an opportunity to know why you care. So if you guys do online marketing here, I'm sure you guys have heard, they say it used to take on average 7 touches for someone to like and trust you enough to actually buy or, you know, enroll in your service. So what that means is they have to read something, they have to watch a video, they have to listen to your podcast or see you on social media or whatever that is. 24 times is the number now. So this means they have to consume your content on average 24 times before they like and trust you enough to buy. So social media is a very, very good way to do this. And guess what? It's still free to use. Okay, building your personal brand on social media builds brand equity for your business. And again, the reason I'm really talking about this is I think when people start out in this, they're constantly thinking business, business, business brand, but I'm really trying to help you understand the importance of building your brand, which will build brand equity for your business. So really quickly, I just want to do a little case study here because I think that I should have this in PowerPoint. So this is my friend Andy Frisella. I worked for him several years ago when I was doing my fitness business. He has a very big company called First Form. But when I met Andy, he had very few followers on Instagram. Just so you guys know, I've actually been doing this kind of on the side, you know, doing like my little side hustle on Instagram for the last 8 years. I started Instagram when it was first started. I was one of like the OG fitness people, and I caught on very quickly to how Instagram worked. And so I actually built up several large revenue generating pages. And so because I was very big in the marketing world, Andy saw the potential of building his personal brand online. So he's like, hey, you know, can you come work for me and help me to get my personal brand started? So we worked together, and, you know, I got his page to a certain number, and then he didn't need me anymore because when you're larger, you don't really need somebody to help you with organic reach. But what he's been able to do, and why I want to talk about this, and there should have been some other slides on here, is he started with one company, okay? And he saw the potential of building his personal brand. He invested a lot of time into building his personal brand on social media. Throughout that time, he started a podcast. Okay, using his social media platform, he got a huge following of his podcast, hit #1 business charts in America for like a year or 2 on end. And then through that, he actually ended up making another 8-figure business off of his social media. He made a complete huge mastermind group, and then has had several other businesses that have branched off of this. Like now he's doing this here is Unividia Tequila, where he's doing influencer marketing. And so he's really capitalized on social media to explode his business and his career, okay? That's one way it's important. You know, another thing is I don't think people realize, you know, the power of having a presence on social media. And so, you know, Nicole and I were talking about this before the call. You know, if you meet somebody, or if you want to go to somebody who's a physician or an attorney or whatever, and you go to their profile and they have, you know, 50 followers, you're not going to take that person seriously. It's just the way that it is, whether you like it, you know, or not, whether I like it. You know, we judge people by their social media. And so this is my husband's account. We actually have functional medicine stem cell clinics. And for the past 8 years, he has not wanted to let me do his social media. And as you can imagine, I preach this to him all the time. He's probably tired of, you know, hearing about it. So this past couple months ago, he actually let me finally make a page for him. This is when we first started. I took the screenshot and you can see it was just at 1,000 followers. We ended up, because of the type of content and the positioning of how we were branding him online, got a message from someone that put him in a business dealing to potentially, you know, make upwards of millions of dollars. And so the reason I wanted to show you guys that is because there's a huge power in building a presence and basically learning how to position yourself on social media as an expert. So social media allows you to make a bigger impact, right? Because it allows you to be relatable. And so what are we doing when we're relatable? We're giving our followers hope, okay? So hope is a vehicle that's gonna turn your followers into customers and your customers into clients, right? It's what's gonna change people's lives. And I always call it, it's a secret sauce. So you owe it to your potential clients and customers and followers to put yourself out there and share your story, you know, talk about yourself, share your personal story and your whys, you know, be vulnerable and put yourself out there and be you. All right, so, you know, going into this, I think that a lot of people are nervous, and Nicole, we can talk about you for a second. I think a lot of people are, you know, very nervous to put themselves out there and be vulnerable because it's going to be uncomfortable, right? Sometimes when you start really stepping into your power and putting yourself out there and sharing your story, it's going to piss people off. You know what? But it works. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and the part about, I think before when we were kind of chatting about it, one, the vulnerability, which she had told me forever that I had to just start putting personal stuff out there. So that, you know, having a good blend, which she'll go into in a minute, and just start doing it. So you kind of almost have to have someone coaching you through to do it the first couple of times. And then it's amazing how once you get going, you're fine. And two, what was the end part that you just mentioned?
I was talking about your story, and like, for example, when we took over your account, Nicole has all these amazing things about her that nobody knows about. And she wasn't sharing them on social media. And I kept saying, you know, you need to share this. It's so amazing. Like, people will be so into this, and you're going to inspire people and you're going to motivate them. And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, I made her put a post out, and it was like her most engaged, crazy post ever. It was about, she faced her fears and knew she had to step back in her power, and ended up doing a beauty pageant and winning the whole thing. Miss Arizona, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was an amazing post, and it was a proud moment for me, for her, because I know it was scary to put yourself out there like that.
Yes. But they love it. But that's what they love, and getting to know you better.
It's relatable. And I think as experts, you know, I think a lot of people look at us like we're these like perfect, esteemed people. And so when you let your guard down and you're more vulnerable and you're like, hey, you know, I have all these degrees after my name, or I do all these things, but I'm just a person just like you, they start really leaning into your message, because now that's how you give them hope, right? As if they think that you're just like them and you've done all these things, that inspires them that they can do it as well. So, okay, I know you guys are probably like, all right, let's get into the tactical stuff. Like, how do I actually do this? So real quickly, I just wanted to touch on this, and this is why I really want you guys to focus on Instagram. Instagram, here's some stats for you. Instagram has over 1 billion monthly users. 116 million are just in the USA alone. 60% of users on Facebook log in daily. So that's a pretty amazing rate. So it's only second to Facebook, which is 70%. This is key for me. There's multiple features on here to provide in-depth content to your audience, right? So there's the wall, that's kind of like your billboard. There's the stories, then you can do lives, you can do IGTV. So there's so many different ways that you can give your audience whatever they want to consume, that you really don't need to go anywhere else. And you don't need to spend all this time trying to bounce around different platforms. You can really just focus on one platform and dominate it. I love that you can still attract your ideal audience. So I think Instagram is really good for still being able to attract your specific demographic and psychographic. And you can still actually get organic reach, like, I mean, pretty easily. So that's what we're going to talk about, is some of the strategies that we use to do this. I had somebody on a call the other day telling people that he really thought that organic reach was dead on Instagram, but you have to realize that you have to have a good strategy. It's there if you understand how to take your content and turn it into content that your audience wants to consume. So you have the right strategy, of course. All right, so let's get into the tactical stuff. You may want to start taking some notes here. So when we talk about keeping your page personal, obviously we don't want it to be so personal that we lose your credibility about whatever your expertise is. So to make sure that we keep your page personal, but we also position you as an expert in the field, we're going to use my 3-2-1 approach. All right. So for every 3 business related posts, you should have 2 personal mixed in there and you can have one call to action. So if you guys don't know what a CTA is, that means call to action. And that basically means you're asking people on your social media to do something, whether it's to buy something, to opt into your email, to listen to your blog, to listen to your podcast, or to read your blog, or subscribe, or whatever you want them to do. So keep that in mind. It's kind of like the Pareto principle, right? The 80-20, it works in everything, and it works here on your social media. 80% should be value driven and 20% can be calls to action. So let's start with the personal side. Okay. So you may be an expert at what you do, but people still want to know about you, right? They want to know what makes you tick. They want to know what you do on a daily basis. What struggles have you overcome, or are you currently still dealing with? What's on your mind? So the more that you can relate with your audience, the more they're going to trust you and the more they're going to be engaged with you, right? Makes sense. Okay. They're going to be much more emotionally connected, obviously, if they can relate to you. And they're going to be more interested in helping to spread your message. Oh, and they're also going to be much more likely to buy from you if they trust you, right? All right, so I want to dig in and start actually helping you guys learn how to easily come up with content for your page. So I call this my personal brand blueprint. It's not going to be an in-depth branding session because my goal here isn't to take you through a 10-hour branding course. It's really just to help you understand how to properly position yourself online. Because your personal brand is basically what people think about when they come to your social media. What are the things that you want people to think about you when they come to your Instagram? So first we want to start with the personal side. I want you to make a list, and you guys should have a PDF that we sent out that you can write on. And if you don't, just grab a sheet of paper. But I want you to make a list of the top 10 areas that are most important to you personally that you feel really make up you as a person. So I'll give you an example. You know, when people come to my Instagram, I'm very big with empowerment and mindset. That's two of my big ones. I'm big with family. Obviously, you know, being healthy is a very big passion of mine. I like to travel a lot. So these are just some of the things that are very important to me, that are like my passions. So think about, again, like if someone's to come to your page, like what do you want people to know about? So take 30 seconds and write that out on your sheet. And if you guys need some ideas, I have some here. So like, for example, Nicole, when we took over her account, we do a brand audit, and some of the stuff that we had on hers, she had this very spiritual side that she wasn't talking about at all, that I think is very interesting because that's who she is as a person. So we started mixing in some more content that really resonates with her as far as like energetic type, intuitive, empath kind of content into her personal branding. We actually just put up a post, what was the post, Nicole, that just crushed it?
Yeah, the top 6 things that block intuition.
Yeah. So we put up a post for Nicole, and we try to mix in, we have a formula that will mix in like the business content with the personal, like I told you. So we put up one, it said, the top things, it was a list that block intuition, and it had the most shares, the most saves, and like the most engagement on any of her posts ever. It was crazy. So you might think people aren't interested in that stuff, but they really are, because think about it this way. Even if you follow someone and you love them, and they're putting out the same content over and over and over again, you might not unfollow them, but you're going to stop engaging with it because it gets redundant and boring. So putting this content in just makes it more interesting. That's what I was talking about Sarah Blakely. Like when I think about why I like following her, because I never know what she's going to post because it's just interesting. And she does have a lot of business content in there. She's always teaching and motivating and doing things like that. But there's also just random, you know, her and her kids, or like her and her husband did the Iron Man or whatever that was. And so it's fun just watching to see what she's going to put up. It's interesting. All right.
While they're doing that, I was actually watching a woman last night who almost has 1 million followers, and she was doing a makeup tutorial, and her son was like, got in the background and was like playing around and doing stuff. And I was like, I love that she posted it like that. Cause when you got, like, you get to know her. Like, I almost wanted to stop following. I could care less about makeup. And the more I was watching,
it was so cute.
I want to follow her. And then I started looking at her stuff and looking at her family and looking at her. I'm like, oh, they're so cute. And oh my gosh, they live in Idaho. And like, I fell in love with all other stuff, not her makeup tutorials.
Exactly. It's because it's relatable, right? It's way more relatable than her doing a perfect, you know, eyeliner wig. Because that's definitely not. I don't think that's relatable for any woman. All right. If you guys want to have some fun, you're welcome to put some of this in the chat bar too, because I'll read them after. I want to see what you guys are having on there, what you're saying. Okay, so now we're going to go into the business side. So I want you to really think about a lot of the business topics that make sense with your brand. And this doesn't have to be your programs. It could be, your breadth of knowledge that you want to talk about, or it could be things that relate to your patients or clients that you treat. Or it could be, you know, you could talk about testimonials, but turn them into stories. Don't just sit there and post a testimonial card, like tell stories about people that are in your business. So I want you to take a minute and write out, you know, at least 5 to 10 areas of the business side of things that you can use, because we're going to have a formula for this in a minute. All right, so I'm going to keep going. So this brings me to my next point, is when we think about going to create content, if you really want to grow your audience and your reach, you need to create content that is valuable for your audience, right? So what I've come up with is, I call it infotainment. So before you put anything on your social media, you should be thinking about if you're providing infotainment. Are you informing or educating your audience? Are you inspiring and motivating your audience, or are you entertaining your audience? Okay, it's best of all three. Now, every time I say this, someone's like, oh my God, I'm not funny. I can't put up anything funny. And it doesn't always have to be you. It could be a funny meme or a funny video or something funny. But just think about, you know, you want to keep things, like I said, you want to provide value to them. You want to keep them from being vain. So this is just a little thing that we come up with. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to use this in a formula. So if you want to easily come up with content to post, you just take one of the topics from your personal brand blueprint. You want to keep in mind my 3-2-1 approach, right? So it'd either be 3 business posts or 2 personal posts. So you take one topic, you decide out of infotainment, am I going to inform and educate? Am I going to inspire and motivate? Or am I going to entertain? And that equals your post. And so you can see this could turn into hundreds of topics, because you could take each different topic from your personal brand blueprint and change it. You could inspire, you could educate, or you could entertain. Does that make sense? So it's a really easy way to just constantly come up with different topics to connect with your audience. Okay, so now that you know what to post, we're going to get more into the how. So I have a saying, and I say engagement is the currency of Instagram. Okay, and so the most important thing that you need to understand with Instagram is that it thrives off of engagement. And so if you want to grow your social media on Instagram, if you want to grow your page, you have to get better engagement. I see you guys having questions coming in. I will get to everything at the end. I don't want to stop. We'll just knock this out and then I'll answer everything here. We have a time for a Q&A. Okay, so here's a secret sauce that I'm going to share with you guys right now that not a lot of people know. Instagram rewards profiles that keep people on their platform longer. Why do you guys think that is? I think you're all business people on here. You probably know that because if people are on their platform, they can sell more ads. So if you can keep people on their platform, they're going to in turn show your content to more people. Okay. When people are engaging with your content, when they're saving your content, that's telling Instagram they're going to come back and reference it later, right? When they're sharing your content, that's telling Instagram it's good content. When they're liking your content, that's telling Instagram it's good content. So engagement is huge when it comes to growing your page organically on Instagram. So really quickly, in case we have some newbies on here, I just want to take a minute and kind of deconstruct what engagement is, because I might be throwing some terms around that people don't understand. So we have different types of engagement on Instagram. Obviously, a lot of you guys know what likes are. So likes here are right here. Likes are being beta tested right now for us to not see them in like 17 different countries. We're not exactly sure if it's going to come back yet. I haven't read anything. The reason that they were doing this is because when they rolled out stories, more people gravitated to stories and were posting on stories daily than the wall because of the anonymity. So they're trying to basically test to hide the likes from people to see if people are encouraged to post more. Likes do definitely still matter in the algorithm. I think people have thought that because they hit the likes, they don't matter, but they absolutely do. If you get more likes on your post right away, it's going to be more likely to hit the explore page. Comments, same thing. So I call comments, they're still the king of engagement. If people are that engaged with your content that they're commenting, that's a very good sign to Instagram. So we definitely want to focus on making content that's going to be engaging to get comments. And we'll talk about how to do that here soon. Shares. So I think a lot of people still don't capitalize on this feature. So shares is a little button in the corner. when people go to, not share, I'm sorry, saves. So when people go to save your content, it basically goes to like a little gallery. It's almost like a little Pinterest in Instagram. And so these are really good because, like I mentioned, if they're saving your content, that means they're going to come back to reference it later. So not only are you keeping it on the platform, they're going to come back on the platform later. So saves are very big. Shares, obviously, you guys know if someone's sharing your content, that's huge because it's going to improve your reach, right? If someone shares your content, people are going to be more likely to click it and follow you. So obviously we want to optimize your content for shares. So important and overlooked is time on page. I think people don't realize that even if people are on your page, your wall for a long time, or in your stories watching for a long time, Instagram counts that as engagement. So if you have a really nice looking wall, this is one of the reasons when we take over accounts. So I have an agency side that Nicole and I didn't chat in the beginning, but that's where we actually do it for you. And one of the first steps that we do on the agency side is we actually go and clean up the wall. Because the first step to getting more followers is to have people want to actually stay and look at your content, or to click in to read it, or to listen to it, or watch it to begin with. So that's super important, is the way that your wall actually looks. So how do we actually increase your engagement now that you know what it is? Okay, we're going to optimize your content by using a few different strategies. So rule number one, use good images. And here's my pretty lady over here, Nicole. You didn't know that I have it in there.
That's funny.
I love that picture of you. So these are just some, this is with a cell phone. You don't have to have professional photography. This is a photographer that I work with. I love this picture, and it's just a really good quality. So just giving you an example of some good quality images. Okay, Instagram started as a visual platform, and it still really dominates as a visual platform today. And the reason that images are really important is because there's so much information, you know, over 1 billion users, that people are inundated with information. So if you want to get their attention, you have to get it in the first like nanosecond that they see your post, or guess what they're going to do? They're going to keep scrolling. So super important to have quality images. Okay, we don't want to use, I'm so mad that I didn't put this in PowerPoint mode for some reason. I don't know what happened, but I had some funny pictures in here, but I had some pictures of this girl had her arm in here, and then this is the creepy old man photo. You know, when you go, have you seen the old man profile photo that's like this? Don't use those photos. All right, you could also incorporate different strategies. So one of the strategies is longer blog style captions. So I actually use this a lot. If you guys follow me, you know that I am the queen of writing long captions. I don't do it every post, but that's how I write. I'm very verbose. And I think I actually was following this page that was like this Instagram expert, and he was telling everyone how nobody likes to read long captions. I completely actually disagree with that. And I've seen the metrics in the back of all of our accounts. People love long captions if the content is valuable and they're staying there to read it for a reason, right? So I absolutely think long captions are fine as long as you're giving them really good information. I also use short, witty captions. So I don't want to constantly have to make my reader stay on my page for 30 minutes at a time. So like sometimes I'll just put in little lighthearted, here's a little quote that I threw in here, something cute and witty. A great way to boost the engagement on your page is to post funny stuff. People love to be entertained. Even if you're a professional, you can totally post funny stuff. This is one of the biggest things I have to encourage my clients to do, because I think a lot of times as experts, we feel like we can't let down our guard and be like a person. And then at home, we're cracking jokes and we're funny and we're making everybody laugh. And then on social media, we're buttoned up and we don't do anything. And I'm always like, show your personality. You know, if you are a funny person, let it out, because people love it. It doesn't take away from your credibility. Here's just some funny ones that I grabbed. I don't know if you guys ever saw this. This was a couple years ago, but it was hilarious. It was the mom dancing. And then this is one that did really well on my page. I wish I could be that person I thought I was when I bought all this produce, because it's super relatable.
We've all been there.
I think my caption was like, me every Sunday as I'm on my way to Whole Foods and do it again. I do it every week. Obviously, like we talked about, one of the biggest ways to improve engagement is to be vulnerable and raw. People love when you're not fake. Don't be fake. If you are having a struggle or a hard day, there's no reason you can't talk about it, but you have to keep in mind infotainment, because why are you talking about it? Are you just complaining to them, or are you saying it like as a lesson, like, hey, I just had this crappiest day, but I switched my mindset and here's what I did. And now you're going to basically turn around and inspire them or motivate them or empower them to do something differently. Okay. So keep that in mind too. You don't want to make it a journal and come on and just, you know, be a crazy person crying to your audience all the time. Carousel post. So carousel post, if you guys don't know what that is, it's basically a collection of posts that you can swipe on that has these little dots here. So carousel posts are great because number one, it keeps people on your page longer, right? If you have multiple images, they're going to sit there swiping multiple times. But number two, if people don't engage with it the first time they see it in their feed, it's going to show it to them again on a different slide. So we typically see if the carousel post has good content, it does really well. Savable content. Okay, so here's where we're gonna get your pen and paper out again. So I wanted to give you guys some examples of some of the stuff we made for our clients that have done really well. What you wanna do when you come up with ideas for savable content for your audience is think about what's really valuable for your audience. What would they wanna save and reference later? So I try to give you some different examples here. Lori's a business coach, so obviously her audience is looking for like, hey, what do I need to do a webinar, right? So she said, here's what you need, but here's what's nice to have. So this got a ton of saves on her page because what's one of the hardest part about doing this online business is finding the resources, right? So thinking about stuff like that for your audience. This one did really well on JJ's. It's top 10 ground rules for fasting and weight loss. And then this one did really well on Vince's page, which was we did the clean 15 and dirty dozen list. And this got a crazy amount of saves. So it's so simple. You know, think about things like recipes, workouts, what's your favorite books, like what resources, your favorite apps, like that you're using to do something, like what would your audience really value and want to save. So if you want to take a minute, I'll let you guys come up with some ideas there. And again, you can put them in the chat. We'll go through them later when I'm done. My daughter's in the pool.
Does anyone need help thinking of ideas? Is anyone stuck?
Yeah, I can't see the chat here. So when I'm done, I was going to pop off and go through
That's
it.
okay. I can see it. So
okay.
I'm watching. So recipes are amazing. Like what else?
Workouts. What I did when I had my fitness page, I would say like recipes and workouts were the top two. They crushed it.
Smoothie recipes. Anyone who does smoothies. Ideas for an artist.
So who is your audience? Because this is where you have to define who your audience is. So Andy, are your audience, because I know that's Andy probably, right?
Yes.
So I think her audience is people wanting to buy her paintings, so that might not apply for her. But if you had an audience of, if you started putting out content to teach people how to do art, there'd be a ton of stuff that you could do on there. What's the best brushes or canvases or lighting or whatever, paints, you know, do you like oil or water, or there's a million things you could do with that. If you're doing to consumer as far as like buyers,
I would say even top things to ask before buying a piece of art.
Yeah, I was just going to say exactly. That was a good one, Nicole. Or like maybe you could give them like resources of like, what does an average painting like this go for? You know what I'm saying? Just so they have an idea of what to expect if someone's like ripping them off. Or I love the top 3 things to ask, especially with her. She actually does some really interesting. She has them send a picture, and it has to be very specific, high quality for her because she has very detailed sketches with pencils.
So then maybe it would be top questions to ask when you're having a piece. What is that called? Commissioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you could do.
Yeah, I have a breathing exercise course and signature course for post-concussion clients. Question about naming. Oh, and then she had another question, but so I would even put a couple of savable like I see the breathwork ones, and it will say, you know, inhale 8 seconds, hold 8 seconds, exhale 8 seconds, like little things that, like the little breathing exercises. Yeah. Tips for framing art pieces. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff that you can do. Breathing exercise course for post-concussion clients. So I don't know enough about it, but like you could also do like, I mean, do you even talk to people like, how do you tip signs that you know you had a concussion? Do people
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you could do. I'd have to know more about exactly what you do, but tons of stuff there. Yeah, I like that. Oh, another idea, Andy, too, like tips for framing. You could also do like tips for, you know how people do multiple pieces on a wall, but some people don't have any idea of like how to structure them like on a wall. Like that would be me. I'd be like, just tell me how to put them on the wall. I love that. All right, so we're gonna move on. I'll answer all these again at the end. I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring you guys. All right, so making engaging videos. This is my friend Stephanie Estima. I worked with her when she first started, and again, she's a physician, but she was like super funny and silly and goofy off of Instagram, and then was like super professional. And I'm like, you have to show some of your personality. So this is one of her dancing videos that I was begging her to put up. Are you frozen, Nicole, or is that me? Oh, okay, I thought I was frozen. I wanted to make sure it wasn't me. So this is one of her videos that basically at the end she was doing this like whole dance, and it was so cute, and she finally got the courage to put it up, and it got like tons of engagement. And so just like putting up cute, like to Nicole's point, the makeup artist with the kids running behind and like real life, it doesn't have to be so picture perfect. It's actually better if it's not. Making sure when you're putting up videos, like if you're going to do a video, it's 10x better if you just take a cell phone out and do a video right to your audience than having to have this whole production of like lights and editing and video stings. In fact, I actually often encourage my clients not to do that, because what happens is when you put a video sting up, typically like that 2 or 3 seconds, you're losing your audience already. If you put a video up that has no cover, you're losing your audience already, because you, like I said, you have a nanosecond to basically get their attention. And I took a course. Do you know who Billy G is, Nicole, the sales guy? Billy G Marketing?
Yeah.
At Traffic and Conversions last year, I took one of his like things, and he said, you have to beat butt cheeks on Instagram. And I was like, oh my God, but it's so accurate. Your content has to be, you know, engaging enough that it has to beat the butt cheeks that are going to be in your feed, scrolling through with all the fitness models and people in their bathing suits. So just think about when they're doing your videos, you know, a lot of people are very married to their logo sting because it's their logo. But a lot of times it's defeating everything you're trying to accomplish, which is getting them to actually watch your video. So make sure you have it right to the point, tell them exactly why they should stay watching the video, and be very energetic, because you lose a lot of energy in videos as well. And don't be afraid to do silly stuff like this, because it kills. People love it. Here's another one. These are some polls that Stephanie did. I love this. She actually said, hey guys, I have a podcast starting. Which cover do you like better? And let her audience pick. It was a bunch of different covers. So number one, it's brilliant because now your audience feels like they're part of the process with you. So of course they're going to listen to your podcast. But number two, it got tons of engagement on her page as well. This is one where I did a poll talking about when you think about branding, what's one of the first businesses that come to mind? So I got a bunch of answers on my page with that. So thinking about how you can ask engaging questions, or, you know, take a poll without being spammy. You know, you don't want to do it every single post and ask irrelevant questions, just like, you know, to get them to do something. But make sure if you have something that you do want their engagement on, just ask them. Controversial topics. This is one of my favorites. So I think a lot of people are afraid to put out stuff because they don't want the what is it called? The hate,
Backlash.
the backlash. Thank you. But here's something to keep in mind. And Nicole, we just talked about this the other day, is not everyone is going to agree with you, and not everyone is going to like you, and not everyone is going to be your people. And if they're not your people, they're not going to buy your stuff. So you don't have to tiptoe around how you feel. If you want to put something out that obviously isn't abrasive or rude, but may not, you know, other people aren't going to agree with you, just to start a conversation, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. This is my friend Nicole Arbor. She put this out. I use this as a cover because her page went crazy over this. Obviously, it was basically talking about how Glamour put an obese person on the cover. This other one you couldn't see was a picture. One of my best friends, who's a client of mine also, is Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. And when the movie Game Changers came out, she is one of the few people that's saying, no, this is wrong. Actually, we should be eating meat. So it was completely opposite of what all these other people were saying. So that post went crazy. So just don't be afraid to use it to your advantage. I actually laugh sometimes if I put stuff up and people comment on it that's like hate comments. I'm like, hey, thanks for the engagement. Engagement is engagement. I'll take it.
Another thing, and like you talked about, like your tribe, by saying the things that you're passionate about, even though they might be controversial, it's helping to find your people.
Absolutely.
So, you know, like the example of vax versus anti-vax, like you're going to say things that are controversial, but it also is going to attract more of the people that you do want. So it is absolutely risky, but it also, like she's mentioning, increases engagement and lets the people feel like, oh, wow, yeah, she's an anti-vaxxer with
I'm
me.
like you. I resonate with you. I trust you because you have the same beliefs as I do. Exactly. So I'm not telling you guys to post about that because I know a lot of you on here are probably physicians and have licenses and don't want to talk about that on social media. But that she's just giving an example of a very polarized topic. There's other stuff too. It could be you name it. You know, like I think the vegan and meat eaters is a huge one because it's just such a huge divide. But so here's another one. This is a 2-minute drill. So if any of you guys have any kind of a podcast or anything that you do that has like a viewership, you can actually train your audience to go and engage on your social media. So you can come up with a hashtag. If you guys follow Ed Milet, he does this. He's like the king of it. And basically it's a 2-minute drill, which he basically says in his podcast, hey guys, when I put a post up on Instagram, if you hashtag max out, you know, I'm going to choose a winner every day and one at the end of the week to win something, you know, whether it's like free books or gear or a coaching call or whatever it is. But he's basically training his audience to engage on his content. And that's why his engagement is out of control. So that's another really good tip if you have a podcast or somewhere that you have like a big audience. Posting frequently, but not too frequently. So everyone always asks me this, like, what is the best frequency, you know, for posting? And the truth is, it's the amount that you can put out good content. So if you're someone that can write amazing posts 2 times a week, great. If you can write amazing posts 5 times a week, amazing. I think there's a lot of people, excuse me, like Gary Vee, and some other people that'll be like, post every day, post 5 times a day, post this. You cannot compare apples to oranges. So the problem I have with his advice is that Gary Vee has a team of 35 people working for him producing content. So until you get to a level where you can put out that much content, your content is not going to be great if you're trying to put content at that level, which is going to have the opposite effect on your page. So highly recommend not listening to that advice. I like Gary Vee, but don't agree with him there. And this is another reason why generic pre-made content calendars are terrible, because you're just posting stuff to post stuff. And I cringe when I see people do this. It's like hashtag, you know, National Donut Day or Pizza Day or Coffee Day. If you want to do it once in a while, it's fine. But the people that just do it nonstop because they have nothing else to say, do you actually want to follow that? This is what you should be asking yourself when you go to post on your page is this something that is worth putting on my page? So just think about that beforehand. So another way to boost the engagement is really just incorporate the different features on Instagram, because Instagram likes you to use all the different features. So we have the wall post, which is your, you know, your tiles. You can use wall videos. You can post on IGTV. So IGTV, you can upload 1 to 15-minute videos from mobile or 60 minutes from your laptop. I don't know if you guys knew that. I probably wouldn't recommend doing 60 minutes because no one's going to sit there and watch it anyways. Most of the metrics we have for the insights on our clients, I think the average retention rate is like 10% tops. So if you put a 60-minute video, no one's going to watch it. Lives are a great way to get engagement because it's just like with Facebook, with the algorithm. How many times have you guys been on like your DM or been in Instagram and you go to like click something and then you accidentally hit into a live and you're like, and then you're in someone's live. So even if you do that, if someone does that on your live, that still counts as engagement. And so when you post, guess whose post they're going to see in their feed? They're going to see yours. So you might not get 1 million people on your lives. Like typically not a lot of people go on the lives, but if you post them to your stories, people will watch them after, and it's still really beneficial for engagement to at least try to go live maybe once every other week, even if you can do that. You can do, the good thing about lives is you can do events. You don't have to go on and always talk to your audience. You could like go live if you're somewhere. You could interview people. You could just come on and give your tips of the day. So there's 1 million things that you could do with your lives. And then stories, which are my favorite because they're real and they're easy. So stories are really just behind the scenes. You know, you could be on your couch in your PJs and jump on and talk to them about whatever you want and no one's going to judge you because it's just kind of a glimpse into your life. Or you could be dolled up, you know, at a fancy event. I do recommend giving them value there. You don't want to always just talk about nothing. There should be something valuable in your stories at some point. So that's it. And my biggest tip for getting engagement is post good shit. All right, so now let's go. I know that I had a bunch of questions.
We got a lot of them. So one was, Donna, you got stuck on one part. What did you want examples of? And you guys can go ahead and post them either in the Q&A or in the chat. Either one is fine.
Are you in the Q&A or the chat?
I'm looking at both. But any questions you guys have, go ahead and post them in either. What do you use to help manage posts? Do you use anything? Well, besides a Google Doc, but yeah. Do you use anything to read?
I was reading. I don't actually. We do everything manually. So I'm not a fan of posting automatically. Actually, Instagram, you can't you can't do a scheduled poster. You can, but you can only post like one post to the wall. You can't do multiple or optimize it for engagement. One thing that's really important that we didn't talk about, which there's so much more to talk about. This is honestly just like a really quick overview, but it really comes down to being super analytical. Like for example, the captions, how you write your captions is a deal breaker if you get engagement or not. So I think one of the reasons that I'm very successful with it and all of our clients are successful with it is because I'm actually a certified copywriter. So I not only understand how to write, but I understand how to actually optimize the copy for people to stay in it and be engaged with it. And so that's like a lot of the stuff that I teach you guys. I have the course that we're going to talk about in a minute, but really analyzing and understanding how to write the captions. So the reason I like the scheduler is because when you post, it blobs everything together. So it undoes a lot of the magic of what we do. There's a lot of magic in the details with everything that we do.
Well, and that's just about Instagram specifically. So even if you use a scheduler on other platforms, you don't want to do that unless it's platform specific, because like if you use something like, back in the day, a lot of people use Hootsuite.
Yeah.
It actually slows down. You get less engagement when you use something like that. So you always want to be posting directly to whatever platform you're posting on.
Yeah, they call it posting. It's you're posting natively to the page. So like for example, I think a lot of people want to take their Instagram and publish from their Instagram to the Facebook, and even though they're owned by the same company, it dramatically reduces your reach on Facebook. So if you want to post to Facebook, you should take the same content and actually post it like natively in your Facebook. Now, Facebook's a different story. And one of the reasons we haven't talked about Facebook is because Facebook is pay to play. The organic reach is terrible there. I mean, you can get it, it's very small, but if you schedule through like Hootsuite or through Instagram or something that's not native, you absolutely get zero engagement.
Mm-hmm.
I think people don't like it either. You know, I don't know about you guys, but when I see a post that says posted by Hootsuite, I'm like, this person doesn't give a shit. They're not like actually talking to me. They're just like, you know what I mean? It's completely loses the like authenticity for me. So I definitely would not do that. But in Facebook on your fan page, you can schedule posts.
So using later, even if the posts are high quality and meaningful, is not a good idea.
So I believe later is the one that just started to where you can actually post to Instagram, but you can't post carousel, you can't post stories, right? And it doesn't optimize it for engagement. So a lot of this stuff, there's way more stuff to talk about. And again, we're gonna talk about in a minute. I have a course coming out where I go like deep dive into all this stuff, but it's little things like, for example, the geolocation, understanding how to optimize for hashtags, like how you write the copy, like all those things make a really big difference. So a lot of the schedulers don't work well. So like they'll post it, but it doesn't optimize for all those different stuff.
So what if I'm afraid of lives? I hate the way I sound. I know that sounds horrible. So, I had that.
Look at my stuff.
I had that happen at first with me too. And I got to say that, so I had a course all done, and I didn't want to film or do any of the videos. So I just started doing masterclasses where if you can get on video, even on Zoom with a friend, like I could even jump on with Theresa and just do a call back and forth and get comfortable with that, and then just click record. So I record all of my content that I send her, all my videos, all my IG lives, everything. I actually record them on Zoom, just like a meeting. Then I download the file and I send it to her. So I would use whatever you're comfortable. And if you are needing to start doing, the videos and the lives, and you are comfortable in doing an interview style or doing something with a friend, that's a great way to start. And then from then you just have to, then you just call Theresa, and Theresa is like, just makes you do stuff that you and she's like, just do it.
You don't want to hear my answer.
Yeah, her answer is just do it. So
put yourself out there. So for me, I honestly, this is how I operate. This is what I've done. Fitness. If I'm scared of something, I make myself do it because I know that I have to do it. So even though I don't look a certain way, or, I think I sound like shit or whatever it is, I just do it anyways, and like press send. And then the more you do that, you just condition yourself. It's so easy. It becomes so easy. You just have to start. Don't even think about it. Don't analyze yourself. Don't even obviously if you mess up, change it. But I'm saying don't sit there and critique every little thing that you do. So. Absolutely. Completely 1,000%. If you're not uncomfortable, that's when it's time to step it up and start putting yourself out there more. So and this is where in the beginning, when I said a lot of people hide behind their brand is because they're just scared to put themselves out there. They think no one's going to be interested in me or like what I have to say or, care. And I'm like, that is not true. People actually, why do you think social media is so big? Because we want to connect. We want to connect with other humans. And so you'll see a gigantic shift in your social media when you start putting yourself out there more and becoming more vulnerable. And weaving in the business content. You don't want to completely let go of the other side as well. Okay, I was trying to read. There was a long one here. I feel like I'm doing at least recently the advice in the slides and the engagement is poor. I feel like I have a lot of ghosters who look at my stuff. I do lives and post a lot of the stories. My last post was really low engagement and I feel like I'm posting value. I cannot answer that because there's so many variables that go into it. Like the look of the graphics, if you're putting graphics up, is of utmost importance. So you can actually ask, I have, like on the agency side, I have a team of people and I see everything in Asana. It's like a project management thing before it goes out. I'm neurotic. I will have them like move the sizes, like, so there's a very big visual component. And then there's also the caption. You see what I'm saying? There's the timing, there's optimizing for engagement with other factors like hashtags, like geolocation. So there's other stuff that's involved. So I could not answer that without seeing it, but something's obviously up if you're not getting engagement.
And actually to that too, I'm going to mention Theresa's course a little bit here because so I went through it and it was amazing. You learn so much. So, I mean, I've already been in the industry and around social media for years. But just the way that she takes it and helps you put it all together to understand, to really create those meaningful posts that get engagement, and give you like a literal formula and template to do that. So talk to them a little bit about your course, just so that they know what is possible.
So I started out doing the agency side, and as you guys can see, it's like super involved and it's more expensive, to be honest with you. And so I wanted to come up with something that I could help people learn what we're doing, but be able to execute it themselves. So I created the course, which is basically a blueprint of everything we do in the agency. Something that's very valuable too, that we didn't touch on today, is understanding how to create these types of posts that get engagement, but also they get conversions off of Instagram on to your website or to your list, right? Because most of us on here want to build the business from the back end. And let's face it, if for some reason Instagram went poof, we want our audience on our other stuff. So the course really focuses on that as well, as really helping you guys understand how to get people off of social media onto your programs. But I designed it, and basically it's an 8-week course. I do it live with you guys. So it's basically a group coaching course. So it's a module every week. I broke it down into understanding how to strategize. So I go through like how to do content workbooks and how to optimize for engagement on the content calendar. And then we go through like creating content, and that's where we deep dive into like the images and the types of posts that do well and how to like test your page and like how to design the graphics and what we use and all the different apps and features. And something that I actually really enjoy doing, because like I said, it's more of a group coaching, is I actually have the people put into the group. We'll do like a Facebook group and they put in their posts and I give them feedback real time. So I'll give you feedback right away on your stuff. And then it goes into more of like the strategy, the insights, the selling. So every week has a different module that basically takes you to the whole blueprint of the deep dive of how we do all this stuff. So it's awesome. It's a really great course.
Yeah. Right. And it's an 8-week course that's a fraction. If I had the patience to do it myself, I probably would, but it's a fraction of what she charges. I mean, her monthly, I don't know if you want to mention what you charge monthly for people.
Yeah, but no, we're a very unique service, what we do, but yeah, our program, our retainers are $3,000 a month plus. So the course is very affordable, which is why I made it for people that really want to learn this stuff, but just be able to execute it themselves. Yeah. So we'll go through that. And really my goal was Nicole wanted to do the mastermind. I said, look, if they're going to sit through an hour masterclass and learn this stuff with me and they're serious, I'm willing to give like a significant discount to you guys. So we'll give you something at the end that you can use if you want to enroll. I'm actually doing my next one on the 20th. So you guys are welcome to take that with me. We had a bunch of questions I was just trying to go through here.
The other one was hashtags. How important is it to
I had a couple in here. Hashtags? So hashtags are super important, and okay, so this is what's funny. They were important and then they weren't as important, and now they're back to important again. So it's really understanding, like, there's a couple of key different things, which again, we deep dive in the course, but just understanding when you use hashtags, hashtag things people are going to look for. If you're hashtagging random stuff, like, I'll do silly ones once in a while. Like the other day, I put a post up and I did hashtag, I need to get my nails done too, because I'm still in quarantine nails. That's fine, but you really want to put hashtags that people are going to be searching for so you get more reach. and thinking about what would people be searching for? What would your audience or your clients or whoever be searching for? Also too, you know, make sure you're not using all hashtags that have like millions of followers, because it's going to do the opposite of what you think it's going to do. So if you do a hashtag that has 5 million followers, no one's going to see you on the hashtag, right? Whereas if you do a hashtag that has a lot like less tags, like let's say 100,000 or 400,000, you're going to be much more likely to be seen in that thread and grow your reach than on the big one. So just understanding how to really optimize the hashtag use is very important. But yes, they're absolutely, absolutely important. All right. I can't see the Q&A. I think you have it on your end. All right. What are you LOLing about? Uh-oh, I can't hear you, Nicole.
I had it muted. My bad. Examples of infotainment. Did you still have a question on that, Donna?
Yeah, so let me give you an example. Is if I want to put a post up about my kids, right? That's my topic. My personal topic is my family, my kids. If I want to go to infotainment now, do I want to empower and motivate? So do I want to put a post up about my kids, and do I want to talk about what it's like to be a mother and how I have to set an example and like do like an empowerment post about being a mom? Or do I want to make it funny and put up a silly post about me and my kids? Like I put up one a long time ago that was like this off, you know, like candid shot that my photographer got of my kids. It was hilarious. And my daughter was making this like silly face. And then I said something like, you never know like how silly you are until you have a kid that's just like you, or something like that. That was like a super lighthearted, silly post, but it was just about my kids and like showed me, you know, like the mom side of me. So do you see how you could take one topic and go like different directions with it? It doesn't always have to be so serious. It could be like lighthearted and funny, or it could be, you know, educational. I could put a post up and talk about, when I was a health expert, I used to talk about a lot of kids and nutrition. That was a big thing for me. I was very passionate about kids eating healthy. And I thought it was unacceptable for people that would eat healthy and then go through McDonald's for their kids. So like I would talk about that. So there's just a million different directions you can go with the same topic. Does that help? All right. I think I got all of them. I was trying to go through this.
Yeah, I think we're good. So again, like she mentioned her course. She is everybody. Well, I'll let you tell them about the special marketing special.
Yeah. No, so I'm just going to give, I made Nicole a code for 60% off. So if you guys want to do the course right now, we're starting May 20th. You can use the code and it'll give you 60% off enrollment. And there is an option for some people. If you'd like to do 2 monthly payments, you guys can read more about it. We're going to leave you the website. We'll give you the code. I would love to work with you guys in there. It's a really great course. You also get a really great little tribe of people. Like the last couple of courses that I did, the people really connected and they now stick with each other and engage after. So we'll put you in like engagement pods to help each other and do stuff as well. So it's cool to have little cheerleaders on your team too. So if that is all the questions, I think that's it. And I would love to see you guys in my course.
Yeah, and I'm going to pop her website in the chat. So you guys will also get an email when this is over. I'll send everyone the recording. That right there is the link to her website where you can look over the course.
Yes.
And then to save 60% off, the code is SB, like social butterfly, Nicole. So that saves 60% off. And yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Definitely worth it. So thank you everyone for attending, and thank you so much, Theresa, for
thank you, Elizabeth. I saw this. Yeah, absolutely. I love this stuff. Thank you guys. Thank you. I see all the thank yous. All right, we'll talk to you guys later.